Well, with us to take a look at the earlier advice by the Center for Crisis Communication and Issues of Insecurity is Chidi Omeje, Head Strategy Center for Crisis Communication. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm wondering, I mean, based on what General Christopher Olukolade said there, that Nigerians should rein in more or less their knack for wanting to protest. But the Constitution guarantees, you know, freedom to protest, freedom to express yourself. Don't you think over the years that to a very large extent Nigerians have, you know, conducted themselves in a way that will not necessarily, apart from, of course, the EndSars of 2020 that, you know, Nigerians experience, they feel that government's not listening to them, so the last resort is to protest?
Look, the statement that you heard from Olukolade did not at any point say Nigerians don't have the right to protest. Of course, it is in our constitution. It is a constitutional right, you know. But the center is just saying, look, the Kenyan incident should not be our democratic model. There's no way we can adopt their style of destruction, violence that we saw on TV. I mean, the aftermath of EndSars crisis is still very fresh in our minds. We saw how so much facilities, so much infrastructure were destroyed. At this point in time in this country, much as we understand, that people are going through a lot, and you know, natural thing is for them to ventilate, probably through protests. But the center is only saying that we have to draw a line. Those who are saying we have to reenact the Kenyan experience have to bear in mind that our country is such a volatile place that if you really try to enact that kind of situation, it might go out of hand. And the country is in dire straits. We can't afford to destroy the facilities we have already. So we're only cautioning about issues of violence, destruction as part of protest. That's what the center is talking about. Because the center understands that, you know, there are a lot of issues in the politics now, not just the issue of protest. There are a lot of things that, you know, in our second quarter conflict, trend analysis, we took a careful look at some of these things and say, look, we have to cry out. Nigerians have to understand that even though the government might not, be acting the way they expected, but it's incumbent on us to, draw the lines to make sure we don't destroy our country ourselves. That's what the crux of that particular statement. Not that anybody is trying to deny Nigerians that democratic right.
No. Well, it's a good thing that that is coming. But again, as I say, in philosophy, there's always a first cause, and the first cause will come to on the plate on the side of the government. How do we truly prevent this from happening? Because there are a lot of things. Because if A is taken care of, then B, which would be the reaction, may just not even happen. So how do we ensure, because listening to General Olukolade, in the case of Rivers, he specifically spoke to those who are the protagonists, the actors, to sheathe the swords. So how do we ensure that in this case, first, government ensures that people are okay, and when they try to ventilate, someone is out there to listen and ensure that their complaints are addressed.
The center is equally talking about good governance as actually the magic wand to deal with all these things. If you emplace good governance, you've done 60% of the job, almost 70% of the job. So the center understands this, but we are only concerned about the outcome of extreme measures. We are trying to say, let us be circumspect, because there are a lot of people who are waiting on, to cash into the situation. There's what we call opportunistic criminals, who actually look up to this situation and then take advantage, and then things get awry, and it's never in the interest of the country. So we only try to, be that moderate voice to say, look, yes, we understand the situation, we understand the issues. There are flashpoints like in Kano, where we have the MI tussle, and we're saying, the protagonists, like you use the word, should be temperate in their communication. don't forget that we are about communication, talking about crisis communication, because we understand, we know, we believe that communication is central in both crisis, crisis escalation and even crisis management. So the way you communicate have a long way, in rubbing off on the whole process. So we are trying to, let Nigerians know that our communication strategies, styles, have to be temperate. We've seen a lot of, if you go through the X, for instance, social media, the kind of things you see there do not give you.
So in this case, you're talking to two categories now, the government and the people.
Absolutely.
So let's first look at the kind of message you get from the government and how they handle it. Are you excited about, are you satisfied on how they manage information and even the anger and, complaints and the sentiment from Nigerians?
Our statement was not directed to the people alone. We are equally talking to the government.
What are you telling the government?
We're telling the government to be truthful to the people. They have to speak to the issues. They have to be proactive in the matters. They have to, deploy, that's what we call conflict-sensitive communication, of course, and it's on both sides, from both government side and people on the user side. So
this communication, sorry to butt in, does it include speaking the truth at all times to the people, or is there a way that you're saying to government there's a need to manage the communication in a way that it doesn't set the whole place on fire?
Because if you withhold information, for instance, from people, you are sending a message. If you tell lies to the people, you are sending a message. If you are not able to tell, say things at the right time, or if you don't do the right words, you don't communicate better. Then at the same time, the people who, communication about you encode, the other decodes, right? Now, if you are encoding and you are not properly doing it, you are not communicating effectively. And we are all about effective communication.
Absolutely.
As heart of crisis management.
Before we let you go in 30 seconds, what are the options apart from protesting? What are you telling the people?
Well, we're telling the people
in terms of what other options there are for them to,
we're not telling people, we're not trying to muzzle the people. We're only telling the people, look, be temperate. Look, be calm in your communication. You have to deploy certain languages that will not exacerbate the situation.
Right.
You have to make sure that whatever you are doing or whatever you are saying will not, at the end of the day, add fuel in a raging fire.
Absolutely.
So that's exactly what the center is all about. We are not here to muzzle the people or to necessarily be on the side of government. No, but government is about people and people is about government. So we must find a balance so that we keep our society, remain.
I hope the National Orientation Agency will be on board with this project of yours. Thank you very much, Chidi Omeje, Head Research and Strategy Center for Crisis Communication.